You're listening to a Brain Stew Fresh Fright Review.
What's up, creeps, and welcome to a brand new Epic Film Guys Fresh Fright motherfucking review. I'm Justin.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Be Ready.
And goddamn, you guys, the delay there. Holy shit. Guys, it's because we're recording this episode on none other than Memorial Day. That's how hard we work to bring you guys this shit.
It's early as fuck in the morning, and I'm just like, I'm actually still in bed. I got my Scrooge nightcap on, doing a little honk shoe.
As soon as you came on video, I was like, bro, Brady literally just rolled out of the bed that he's sitting on and grabbed the mic and was like, all right, here we go. We're talking about Passenger, which unfortunately did not do that well at the box office this last weekend. Brand new horror film from André, Øvredal, which we've talked about his movies in the past. Guy can't catch a break with in terms of a script, it seems. He directed Troll Hunter, which there are a lot of fans of, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I'm a fan of, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which we've reviewed on the show, and then, of course, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which surprisingly, though it didn't do huge at the box office, got announced this last week that they're going to do a sequel to it. Don't know if he's involved or not, but Passenger fell in line, guys, with this entire month of May of 2026 of huge horror releases. I say that in terms of the fact that we had a new horror movie almost every single week this month. We had Hokum, which we did not cover on this show, but Brady and I guested over on the Spook House podcast with our friend Phil, so check out that. Then we had Obsession, which, guys, that movie is absolutely taking over the fucking world, and it deserves every fucking cent of the money that it's getting. In its second week, the movie made more than it made in its first week. Mm-hmm. Insane. Unfortunately, Hokum did not fare as well the week before Obsession, but Obsession is going to take over Passenger in this week. It's only made $15.3 million on $15 million as its budget. I thought the trailer looked good. I think I saw it twice, but I will say that the trailer itself did not necessarily determine, in my eyes, what the movie ended up being. Not an issue with that. I think the trailer was pretty efficient and, gave me some jumps and jolts, and I was like, I'm in for that, right? Then, of course, there's Backrooms, which comes out right at the end of the month, which I already saw. You guys didn't get a chance to see, but I'll talk about that on a later date. So
then he's like, I saw it. You guys haven't. Fuck you.
Listen, no. I'm mentioning because
it's too early for this, dude.
There's that graphic, that I think Kellen shared it with us, which is like, again, it's a huge month because every week in May had a big horror movie. And, of course, I saw a lot of people shitting on this as in, like, not deciding not to see it based on other reviews. They didn't screen it for critics or anything. But Epic fucking Film Guys. That's right. It is early. It's 9:30 in the morning on a Monday on Memorial Day. We went to see this shit so we could review it for you guys. So I'm just going to go around the horn here. And did either of you have any excitement at all for Passenger?
No.
No anticipation at all?
Not one bit. Not one bit. I saw the trailer and I was like, well, that looks mostly okay. There was nothing about that trailer. Mostly. There was nothing about that trailer that made me go, holy fuck, I'm there day one for that. Now, in reality, I was there day one.
You were?
Yeah.
We run this little podcast called Epic Film Guys, and I was like, all right, well, I have to do my due diligence and even go see movies when I'm not excited for them. But hey, a horror movie is a horror movie, and anytime I get to see a horror movie in the theaters, I'm there. So, but yeah, no, I had no anticipation whatsoever for this movie. I mean, the trailer was unique because it was literally just a scene from the movie, and I have to say, dude, I kind of dig that. I dig that they were like, we're not going to do a traditional trailer. Like, the trailer's literally going to be a small scene from the movie, and I thought that was kind of brilliant. And if anything, I think the trailer that scene actually made it look like it was going to be better than what
that ended up being
maybe what we ended up getting. Yeah.
Brady, for the uninitiated, please, I know it's 9:30 in the fucking morning on a Monday. I won't repeat that again, ladies and gentlemen, but let anyone that doesn't know what this movie is, what it's all about, please.
So basically the premise is a young couple witness a gruesome highway accident. They soon realize that they did not leave the crash scene alone, as a demonic presence called the Passenger won't stop until it claims them both.
The Passenger.
And to jump on to what Jeremy was saying too, like, yeah, I mean, I really had no anticipation. I think that the trailer was cool, how it is just the scene from the movie, and you don't really see that anymore. I think there was a time, like maybe late 2000s, early teens, like it was definitely like a thing that people would do that. But it just felt to me like instantly, I was like, okay, this is going to be like some sort of like urban legendy shit. And I think that it does, as great as a month for horror that May has been. I think Passenger suffers from coming after Obsession. You know, like it's just, they can't all be Obsession, and I think Obsession is taking the horror community by storm right now. So
it has,
I don't know.
Yeah, it has. It's got a grip on pop culture in general. Like people are going to see this. Like last night, we went and had dinner with Kaya, our kid, or whatever, and her boyfriend, and they mentioned it, and I said, "Oh, we're near Alamo. I'll go get you tickets to go see it." And they went and saw it, and they loved it. So I think it's something that everyone wants to go see. The word of mouth. This reminds me so much, Jeremy, of what, like, I mean, we're going super far back, but back when Halloween came out, that movie had like no marketing.
2018,
zero,
yeah.
You know,
which Halloween?
The original, the original Halloween.
Okay.
Like back when they did no marketing for it, and then word of mouth is what carried the movie. You know, they didn't put any money into marketing for Halloween. And there's a little bit of marketing for this, but honestly, I'll tell you straight up, like the poster for that movie wouldn't have automatically done it for me. I thought the trailer looked great. We were all intrigued, but I love seeing a movie made for that cheap, taking the world by storm. I don't want to talk about Obsession anymore. We already talked about it, even though, but it is.
It reminds me of Blair Witch Project.
Same,
like
same. Another good example.
And even like non-horror movie fans were like talking about like, have you heard about this movie? Like, I heard it's supposed to be the scariest movie ever made, and I heard it's real footage. That this is actual real footage. It's not like a planned movie. Like that was part of their marketing device that was really smart. I mean, they even came out with not to get too into the weeds or whatever, but they even came out with a documentary that came to Sci-Fi Channel called The Curse of the Blair Witch.
That. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
it supported the fact that it was a real footage and shit like that. So like the fact that like non-horror movie lovers are like, I keep hearing about this movie Obsession. The fact that it's like it's reaching like non-horror fans that are like, apparently I have to go see this.
Dude, I saw fucking grandmas going in to see it last night at Alamo. So it's like everyone wants to see this thing. So it sucks that this movie came after
anything.
It.
Yeah, I was gonna say anything that is coming after this, it would be the equivalent of like Metallica playing and then a high school garage band playing after Metallica. Like that's kind analogy. Of what this feels like.
Yeah,
that's kind of what this feels like. I feel bad for any horror movie that's coming out after Obsession because I mean that shit just crushed it and super excelled expectations of what the horror genre can and is.
And again, successful financially, critics love it, fans love it. So I'm that makes me really happy. I want to go see it a third fucking time, but
let's stop obsessing over it.
Sorry, I'm obsessed with Obsession. Ho ho ho. Also, I fucking had one of those One Wish Willows that I got. Like we had more at work, and I grabbed one and snapped that shit, and yeah, I'm in trouble now. But
is your penis bigger now?
Well, my pants stayed on, so it definitely doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. I don't think it works. Sorry.
But I mean, another thing,
I don't think it works like that.
Going back to this and kind of initial thoughts, like, the trailer, I wasn't ever excited for it, but the trailer was like, okay, this could be something interesting. And then the trailer was probably like that scene is, there's another scene, but that is the best, most suspenseful part of the entire movie.
I can't agree more. The opening is fucking amazing. I
like that scene, and I liked the kind of tender, sweet Roman holiday moment. You know what I'm talking about, where he like has the Roman holiday movie projecting up.
Yeah,
like,
with there's some Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant. Yeah,
where things do come through, but then smart. They always end up becoming some sort of fucking trope, and that's what the whole movie is. It's just a bunch of jump scares
constantly
peppered throughout. And then generic tropes, and then some weirdly religious things that don't even need to be in there. Like you could have just had it be the demon. So I think initial thoughts were like, you guys could have done something pretty cool with it, and you chose to just rely way too much on what's been done before and trying to get people to jump out of their seats. And there's no substance.
I will say this: if you, and I said this to you when you asked me last night via text what I thought of it, I said if you wanted a jump scare fest of like great jump scares, this movie's for you. And I think like. For example, I was in the theater yesterday, like an early matinee, it was literally me and 3 other people. But the younger couple that was below me was maybe in their late teens, early 20s. And I heard them as we were leaving the theater. They said, I liked that. Another guy said, I liked that too. It was pretty scary. I jumped a lot. And it's true. I watched them jump, and I got a couple of jumps out of the movie. It is a great exercise in precision jump scares, for sure. Now, none of them in this movie match, again, I'm going to bring up Obsession, but the amazing jump scare in that movie, because it's timed so perfectly and it comes out of nowhere. I was expecting all of these, but a few of them still got me. And I think that's the issue with this director, man. He can't catch a break on a good script, because his direction in this movie, I think, is really strong. Unfortunately, outside of the opening, which I found to be the strongest aspect, which is just 2 friends, Daniel and Lucas, driving down a dark road in the middle of the night. After that ends, we're stuck with Maddie and Tyler, who are just like the most generic, boring, bland couple of all fucking time, where I'm like, man, you couldn't have come up with a better, set of characters than this.
And neither are particularly, like, they're both very, very serviceable. Don't get me wrong, but neither one of their performances was I like, man, I'm like really buying what they're selling. It was just very basic performances.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, remember how like last year I complained about In a Violent Nature, and how a lot of people were like, oh, like it's a lot of walking. I feel like this one was just a lot of fucking driving and them talking. Like,
yeah, and it's a lot of bland dialogue that never really led to much. Like, I feel like every other scene he's like, come here, I want to show you something, or I have a surprise for you, or it's something like that, or it's just them kissing warmly and him ignoring the fact that she's seeing shit and going out of her fucking mind. I'm like, bro, if you care and love this woman so much, wouldn't you like pick up on the fact that she's clearly going through something in this van that you forced her to live in?
Go the fuck home. So we're doing initial, initial thoughts, right? All right. So my initial thoughts were, and I had posted about this, is no bullshit. As I was watching this, I was like, dude, this is a live action adult episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? This is
you were gonna say
Tale of the Passenger. This is Tale of the Passenger, man. And like, it literally is, it just has that kind of formula that Are You Afraid of the Dark, had for their stories. And you've got this entity that's following you because you stopped. And, it just has a lot of the tropes that Are You Afraid of the Dark had in those episodes, except for this. Again, this was made for adults. Even the way that the demon kind of looks like it would have been a villain from the original Are You Afraid of the Dark show. Like, I mean, the makeup and like the character design and all that shit. It just, I loved the mythology, right? Like, I loved the mythology. I loved the idea of how it latches onto you when you stopped. Therefore, it was able to attach itself to you. I like that a lot. And I feel like for everything in this movie, like every step forward for something that I liked in this movie, there were 2 steps back for the things that also didn't work for me. So it's like I swear, man, it's been a long time since I've seen a movie that in my head, I was like, I hate this. Actually, maybe I was wrong. No, I hate this.
Dude, I had the same exact reaction to it. I had the same exact reaction because I'd be like, man, this is so bland. It's so generic. And then there'd be a scene like the one, Brady, you referenced when they're in the campsite or whatever. And I go, wow, this is really well executed. Like, I jumped a couple times. The atmosphere's good. There's good suspense. Like, I don't care about the characters at all one single bit, but I'm like, what they're doing to the characters it's exciting me. It's well done. It just so happens that you cast, and no hate on the actors or anything like that. I'm not going to shit on them. They were
just
fine.
had no chemistry.
Yeah, they had no chemistry, and I think they were miscast, and I think the writing for both characters was extremely weak. It's just didn't feel like anything to latch onto.
Well, I would also say that that's just kind of the general thought for the whole movie, is that the writing is just weak. Like there are thoughts that are never fully fleshed out. There are scenes that just, like I said, just immediately devolve into a jump scare. And it's like, you could have, and we keep saying he gets bad scripts, but he keeps choosing these scripts. He keeps choosing these movies to make, and they're all fucking suffering from the same thing.
I would dare say, even though we didn't come out hot on Last Voyage of the Demeter, but I think that movie was way better than this. I'll say that in terms of
100%. This
direction, production, script.
Yep. If they would, man, I'll still go back to that. If they would have done practical effects instead
I
of a
know.
video game monster. And I know you know that I know that you know.
I know that you know
but
that I know that you know. And I
I
agree. I
know.
agree. I agree.
Almost. That movie
This-
could have been great.
I'll say this. This movie definitely, at least it had some practical stuff. It didn't skimp on the gore. It didn't. And it also had a Christopher Young score to it. Dude, Hellraiser, Species, Urban fucking Legend, like Drag Me to Hell, Sinister, Pet
Decent
Cemetery.
score.
I mean, the score was solid. So you had that pedigree to it. It felt like the dude behind the camera knew what he was doing. There were scenes, though, and I just have to bring this up. There was a scene with this character, Diane, who's like supposed to be like the guru or whatever, like that knows about the passenger and kind of leads one of our main characters into finding an old book that tells her about all these different, symbols from the early 1900s.
And
When
not to cut
she's-
you off before you say this, but we also
Go
have to
ahead.
keep in mind for context that she is at a place called Burning Van.
Burning Van, which I didn't realize was a thing, that people that live in vans go to like a thing called Burning Van and they hang out and they fucking
Yeah.
line
Is that a real
dance.
Yeah, couldn't be me.
Is that real?
I guess so, but
Yeah,
when-
they were all these were all extras who were just like normal people who like loved the van life and all got together and not her. I mean, she's an actress.
I
but
can't imagine
Yeah.
living that way, but I get why people do. I mean, I think
I have too
you
much
know,
shit.
Jeremy, you're big into comedy. Tom Green, he did it. He did it for like a year or two. He just like moved into a van with his dog and he like drove the country, and that's what he did. And I get it. I get doing it for like a short period, but like wanting to live your whole life in a van. Well, I guess I don't know.
No, but anyways, I just wanted
Good.
to set the stage for what quote you're about to say.
Yes. No. So the character of Maddie's like, finds this woman Diane at one of these the burning van meet, and they're talking over like, oh, you've only been doing this for a few weeks, and they're talking about the whole van life and something or whatever it is, and she mentions this thing or whatever, and what is this? What the hell is it? And she's like, hell, I don't know, something demonic, a highwayman from hell. And I was like, I literally
I was a
thought in my head,
highwayman.
I was like, Jeremy's gonna love this character. This is gonna be his favorite
I
character
sure,
in the whole
I
movie.
sure did. I sure did. It had the cheese factor. It had the Dr. Loomis factor of
It did.
all the outlandish lines that Dr. Loomis delivers throughout the Halloween movies. Like, she was just fucking hitting them left and right. That highwayman from hell, I literally was like, that's what I'm talking about.
She reminded me of the last Texas Chainsaw movie where I forget the actress's name, but she comes out and she's like, ha, 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 and like shoots him with the shotgun. That was like the same kind of character
It was
that I was
it
thinking
was
she
supposed
was
to be
going to be.
the Sally Hardesty character.
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
It was
Netflix
supposed to
Texas
be.
Chainsaw movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what this movie though really reminds me of in terms of how I feel about it, how it was marketed, Night Swim from like 2024, the with
never
Wyatt
watched
Russell, and you don't need to.
It made a ton
you
of
saw
money.
that,
We
I
reviewed it and we shit all over it. And it made a ton of money. People apparently wanted to go see that movie.
But it's the same thing, like this simple concept that just never fully gets formed or fleshed out and constantly goes into jump scares and has the same tropey characters of like the wise person who's been affected by this thing that's warning everybody else. And anyways,
And
I was
even
just
though I dug the look of the passenger, like realistically, that was nothing groundbreaking either. It's basically the same thing as the nun, even down to the fact that it's wearing a priest outfit. Like,
If you look at
very similar.
Yeah, if you look at the guy who played the passenger, Joseph Lopez, which if you bring up a photo of him, they didn't do very much makeup on him. He literally looks like that.
No,
He's just
yeah.
an old looking dude. I think they just darkened his eyes a little bit. I will say the actual entity of the passenger was extremely well done. I thought all
Yeah.
of the use of shadow, the way it would linger behind you as you'd see the silhouette. A great example of this would be one of my favorite scenes, aside from the one you mentioned, Brady, is earlier in the movie, one of these other van people are like, hey, stay in a 24-hour gym parking lot. They won't boot you. You won't get in trouble. So they're like at a gym working out, which immediately made me like, I should be at the gym right now.
yeah,
They're working out in the middle of the night. And I liked
shoving
this
popcorn
scene
in my mouth.
as I'm pounding my fucking Diet Coke. But I liked that scene where she leaves. Everyone's always had that experience where you're in a parking lot at nighttime and you're scared. Like, it's kind of scary. You're in the middle of nowhere. Like, you don't know where you are. And she thinks that these two guys in this old ass station wagon that are smoking a blunt or something are going to steal some from her or rob her or something like that. but I liked the camera work. It kept spinning around her, and it kept,
Dude,
building the suspense
that was
over
good.
and over and over again.
it made me sick, bro.
Yeah.
That shit gave me motion sickness, dude. I literally went, like during that shot. It made me fucking dizzy, bro. I did not like that shit. I get it, and I feel like it was creative, but
it did
made
it
me
intentionally.
nauseous.
It's supposed to do that, and I think it was very effective in that sense. But again, it plays on, in terms of anything else in the movie, it's the one scene I think that plays on a common fear people have, like, hey, you're leaving somewhere and there's a parking lot in the middle of the night. Like, obviously they parked the van super far out on purpose so that it gave her space to walk and build the suspense. But I thought that was a really well done scene, and I like that from far away when you see the passenger, the silhouette works really fucking well. It's almost like Michael Myers-esque or Jason Voorhees. When you see the silhouette, it works. You know what I mean? It kind of has like a staple to it where you're like, oh, pale face. It just seemed to work. So at least they had that going for it, where the entity itself, the villain, if you will, was pretty.
The passenger.
The passenger. Yeah. I mean, he was spooky. He was scary.
When he first shows up and like you actually like see his face, I was like, oh my God, is that Lin Shaye? Like, I really thought, I was like, that looks exactly like Lin Shaye.
Dude, you know who I thought it was? I thought it was the dude who plays one of the fucking mutants from Wrong Turn. That he was also the guy that was the first kill in The Cube, the movie The Cube from back in the day. I looked at IMDb like certain that it was going to be him. It looked just like him. I think the dude's name is Julian something, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, totally not that dude.
Not at all.
Some of the makeup on it too, like there are some scenes where it reminded me of the wooden figure from Oddity, just like with the mouth open and kind of like the wood in that, like the way they shot it, because I just rewatched that again for like the 20th time.
So good, dude. So good.
But it's like it almost looks like a whitish wood. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think they try for the most part to use the passenger as much as they can to be scary, but then they over explain what he is, and then it really, like, there's about a point halfway through the movie where you're like, all right, is this thing like even really fucking scary?
Well, let's be clear about this. I was going to say, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
Jeremy said he liked the idea of this. In my viewpoint, I'm like, this is every fucking other horror movie. It's the same concept. Final Destination, or there's something else we just watched recently. I can't remember which movie it was, where it's like something's latched onto me and I have to give it to someone else to get rid of it. It's that same kind of idea.
It follows kind of deal.
Same thing, where it's like there's nothing I can do. I have to figure out a way to get rid of this thing, or it's going to follow me everywhere I go. And at least I thought in terms of creativity, it worked because we've never seen something follow people in, when they're on the road. It's just like people, it follows, they travel places and such and whatever, but it's mostly in that one space, that one town or two. But this is like them traveling across the country. It has to do with van culture and driving culture. But there's the scene with her, like, I was like, man, we really need the same scene we've seen in every fucking movie where she's like reading old articles on the internet and then she finds a book and it's like, here's the whole
like hobo
lore
laws.
to it. Yeah. I was like, man, and it's weird because this movie, guys, is literally only an hour and a half, and I felt even at that, at 94 minutes, it felt too long.
It was long.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
As I think it was Brady, you said, it's like they're just driving, and it's just them talking, and I don't care about anything to do with the characters. When we're introduced to them, they're just leaving their super nice, very nice flat in Brooklyn. I'm like, why would you leave that, number one? Number two, we don't even know what they do for a living, so I'm like, okay, how do you afford this? Third, they have a super expensive Mercedes that thing's like very pricey. I'm like, okay, how did you get that? Who are these people outside of the fact that we know that dude wants to marry the chick? He didn't have the best home life, and she was like a foster kid and was traveling around her whole life or something. That's all we know about these characters, other than the fact that they're together and they want to get married or something.
Yeah, if you couldn't figure out that your long-term girlfriend that you want to make your fiance and marry doesn't like the idea of going from place to place, like maybe you shouldn't be getting married. I don't know, man. It's like one of the things is this movie could have worked a lot better if, like I said, they didn't over-explain everything. Like that second act is all exposition and is just drawing out like what it is they're feeling, and the more and more you get into that, the less and less believable the passenger as an entity becomes. And that's like a death knell for a movie like this. Like the idea is to have you keep gaining something along the way of like, okay, maybe this thing is like somebody like me when I go into these, or like a Conjuring movie, like most of the time I don't believe in this shit, right? But a good movie gets me when it's about halfway through, you go, all right, this is plausible. Like I am feeling a little
Yeah.
weird. This one, the entire time, it's just like now
Yeah.
he's the awful version of Saint Christopher. Like when that came out, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
Well, the movie opens and
We
there's a
really
Saint
don't know what we're
Christopher.
doing here.
There's a Saint Christopher quote or whatever that pops up, and I'm like, oh, so we're gonna go that way. It's gonna be another religious thing, and obviously the ending, which I felt was drawn out way too fucking long. Where like obviously they find the Diana lady, and she doesn't want any. They don't want them there at all. They're like, get out of here, leave, and then she randomly like decides to help them. Then of course like the passenger decides to kill her. I thought the thing is supposed to only like go after one couple, but in this case, he decides to like jump their van over to her van and kill her, rip her head off. It was a good scene. Too CGI.
I mean, I guess
but
it's just because she was going to
say
what would destroy him.
There were two like throat ripping scenes, and both were CGI in the movie.
They were, yeah.
It was confusing though, because like they would utilize CGI for certain scenes, and then like, you know, we'll get to it, but the finale with the practical effects that they did on the passenger, I literally threw the fucking devil horns up and was like, oh shit, this was really well done.
We might as well get to that right now, because we're about there anyway. I was gonna say, because you know, after the passenger kills Diana, the couple has no idea. They're supposed to go to some random church of Saint Christopher in the middle of nowhere and use those, you know, old school vintage signals to find hobo signs, to find out how to get there. And avoiding the tricks from the passenger, which there's way too many things that happen between there. And I will say, it also played on another thing that people are terrified of. I was really impressed by when they get the flat tire and he's trying to change the tire. I've always been terrified of you know, you're pumping up the car to change the tire and trying to go underneath the car. Common fear, really well executed. But then, of course, it never leads to anything when she goes missing and whatever. But
yeah, that van crushed his leg, and he's like running.
He jumped up and ran like, right after, dude. You dragged your leg out of there, and we saw it scraping like the top part of his leg. Anyways, but the ending, they go and they find this old church, which is literally, who the fuck built this thing in the middle of nowhere?
Saint Christopher.
Yeah.
I guess so. And then, of course, you know, when he flies off the back of the van, I laughed out loud. It was so silly. He's like, whoa!
Keep driving.
And then she literally, the passenger's on the windshield and she rams the van into, you know, the Saint Christopher statue, which, you know, he's holding like a huge, a spike, and she impales him. But I will say, like you were saying, Jeremy, to bring that up, the way he melts and like falls apart, all practically amazingly done. I loved that. That was so great. I was like, holy shit, dude.
I literally threw the rock and roll horns up in the air. I was like, yes, because like, dude, the practical effects work in that final scene with the passenger was just that. If anything, that would have typically been the scene that they would have CGI'd.
No, yeah.
They CGI fucking throat rips, but then they have this beautiful practical effects of this character melting at the end of the movie, and it was fucking amazing. So I'm just like, that's so weird and uneven that you would choose to fucking cheapo and quickie it with the CGI throat rips, but in the finale you gave a really amazing practical effects scene, and that was great. Like I said, again, for every fucking step forward for something I like, there was 2 steps back. And so like, you know, I went to see it with my friends Chris and Sandy, and Sandy was like, you know, I thought that was going to be like a vampire movie, and I was like, kind of is a little bit. There's a lot of vampire tropes in it, even down to like how they dispatched, you know, how they killed him at the end of the movie was like
they staked him.
It was like basically a stake.
Don't drive at night.
You know what I mean? Like, don't drive at night. He only came out at nighttime. Like, definitely, it wasn't a vampire movie, but there was a lot of vampire movie tropes in this movie, which was interesting.
I mean, dude just made a vampire movie, so it makes sense that he would be able to throw out all those themes and ideas and basic tropes. But the whole idea of driving at night and living in this van culture, it is scary. It's scary to me. Like it's so foreign that people would, to me, in my mind, that you'd want to live in a van and you're sleeping in like parking lots and random streets. Like that alone is scary to me. I think that element could have been fleshed out more. And obviously, again, I'm not hating on the leads. I think they're perfectly serviceable in this movie, but that's the reason that it didn't connect with me in a bigger way, is that I didn't care about them at all whatsoever. I didn't care about Maddie. I didn't care about Tyler. And the performances are just so-so. Not bad, not terrible. Just they're bland.
Yeah.
You know, I wish
serviceable. They're serviceable, but they're not great. There's nothing about either one of those characters or any character in this movie for that part that really sucks you in and go, I care about this character.
Except for Diana.
You know what I mean?
You want her autograph. You want to find Melissa Leo at a convention and get her autograph and have her fucking sign the thing. A demon from hell.
I was a man from hell. Well, god dang.
Yeah, I also don't know that I understand the physics of the passenger as an entity, because he can materialize anywhere at night, but if she hits the brakes, he goes flying through the windshield.
Right, and if she hits him with the mirror, she can attack. She hurts him, but also earlier when,
but only because it had St. Christopher on it.
I guess that makes sense. Because I was going to say later in the movie, Tyler tries to like punch him or hit him with a bat, and it's just like vapor. So I guess you have to have the St. Christopher medallion or whatever the hell.
You have to believe.
You have to believe, which I never actually felt that element of the movie materialize. So if that was part of it, they could have built that better as well. But guys, this is Passenger. I think we're about there. I think we're there.
We're totally
there. Again,
if anything, we've talked about this movie for 15 minutes too long.
Yeah,
like really,
just like the movie.
Well,
I think,
again,
and most of the episode was talking about Obsession to start, anyways.
Well, it's just so fucking good. Sorry, I want to do a second episode on Obsession because, unfortunately, Brady, you were supposed to be on that episode with me and Jeremy. You had a work thing come up. We even had it planned, but like last minute, you had to do a thing for work, which obviously worked.
Yeah, it was a rough week.
Yeah, but maybe we'll revisit that one. I think maybe later in the year, obviously, especially when we do our top movies of the year or whatever, because as of right now, that one's right up there for me. So
for sure.
It's but it's been a great month either way. Like again, let's get the final thoughts on Passenger. But I will say, I think we're spoiled this month, and as horror fans, and especially guys that do a horror podcast, like fuck yeah, man, keep doing this. Like the horror genre is thriving. Like even though Hokum wasn't a huge hit either, like you and I were really hot on that. Jeremy, you said you liked it a lot, but didn't love it. But we've been spoiled, man. Like we've gotten tons of new horror, and I think that's great.
I liked it. I wouldn't say I liked it a lot. I think it was fine.
Boo.
I think it was fine.
Get the hell out of here. It's amazing. Watch Oddity. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
But let's do it, guys. Trash it or treasure it. Final thoughts. Brady, do it. Go for it. Do it now.
I think in order for a horror movie to be a good horror movie, there are certain things that it just can't do. And Passenger seems to do all of those things. And so like Jeremy said, for every good step forward it makes, it instantly gets backed up by 2 or 3 more steps. And it's just like, God damn, you could have been like, you're finally starting to do something good in this movie, and then you just fuck it all up. So I think it relies way too heavily on generic tropes. I think there's no chemistry between any characters. And as much as I love Diana, like, she's still kind of like an oddball thing of her own that doesn't really make sense. It's just funny, and you like her as a character. And I wasn't scared. Like, there's nothing about this that scares me. Maybe it's because I know myself, and I would never just be part of van life. And if somebody said, "Hey, don't stop," I just wouldn't stop. I'd keep going.
I wouldn't stop either. If I saw that car, unfortunately, I'm being just honest, I'd be like, fuck that. That guy almost ran me off the road. Why am I going to stop and help his ass?
You know that episode of It's Always Sunny where he's commuting and he's like, "Merge, you fat cow," and he's like, "You dumb bitch." That's what it'd be like. So for me, I have no desire to see this again. And like, I'm happy that there is a generation of kids and maybe, if you want to call them normies, who don't watch horror all the time, that are going to see this because it appeals to them. That's great. I'm always going to want to see horror win at the box office. I just don't think I ever need to see this one again, and because of that, I got to trash it.
I feel it. I gotcha. Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, a thing that I've been doing recently when I go to watch a movie and I find myself not particularly loving. Yeah, I get the hand lotion. And I find myself not particularly loving it is, I became a horror movie fan at like 7 and 8 years old. And what I've been doing recently is like, okay, if I was watching this movie when I was 7 or 8 years old, like, would I feel different about it? And yeah, like, I feel like I would have loved this movie when I was a kid, right? I think that this movie can be a great gateway horror movie because there's nothing like too like inappropriate in it that's like, okay, like kids shouldn't see this. Like, I feel like this is just like a tradition, like the story is a traditional horror tale.
Yeah,
right?
it's bare
like,
bones for sure.
Yeah, it's bare bones, but also the mythology and stuff like that. I feel like it is interesting enough that there could have been something there, which obviously the studio also thought because they gave a lot of money for this movie to be made. But yeah, I feel like if there was a little kid, 8, years old, 9 years old, that was like, you know, hey, I'm looking for movies that are okay for kids that aren't like too, sexual or gory or whatever. I think that this would be a good movie for them, and that's why, again, I feel like it's very very much in the Are You Afraid of the Dark territory. Of course, I don't love this movie. I'm never in my entire life like I could live another 60 years and I'll never watch this movie again. There's not a scenario in the world that would make me go, yes, let's watch
But I have a
Passengers.
question though. But you would rewatch every single episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark first before you'd rewatch that, right?
Absolutely, because those are dude. Those are
Yeah,
amazing, dude.
I agree with you.
Some of those episodes are still to date. It's like, how the fuck were you on children's television?
I know, dude.
Scary as fuck, bro. There's that one episode. I'm gonna go off on a tangent for one quick second. There's that one episode with in the hospital, and it's got the green vampire, and the name of the episode is escaping me. But like, dude, the vampire literally takes one of the kids on the roof, holds them over the
I
roof
remember
on
that
the
one.
hospital,
Yeah. It's terrifying.
and the vampire said, I don't even have to bite you to drink your blood. I can drop you from here and then go down there and lick your blood up off the floor. Like, that was in a children's television show, bro. And there's so much scary shit. Me and Ann, we quote that show all the time, especially if it's cold outside. One of us is inevitably going, I'm cold. So, like, dude, that show is still fucking terrifying and should have never been made for children. But DJ McHale, God bless you. Thank you for making terrifying shit for children and making a lifelong horror fan out of me. But yes, I would watch Are You Afraid of the Dark willingly. And I fucking, dude, I've got, a signed poster on my wall that I look at every day. I fucking love that shit. But there are a million episodes in that series that are better than this movie, hands down, and scarier than this movie. So I'm going to, as much as, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I kind of dug in this movie, but as a whole, it just falls short. So I have to trash it because I'm never seeing this again. And again, I would never, like, if somebody was like, recommend me a great horror movie, like, this would never be in the conversation. Now, again, if someone said, recommend a great new horror movie that my kid can watch, all right, yeah, this one's for you. There you go. So trash.
There it is. So, we can't win them all, guys. I mean, we just got Obsession. I'm going to mention it again a few weeks ago. And but hey, listen, seriously, and unlike, Jeremy, you thought Hokum was okay, but me and Brady both loved that one too. So it's I think it's been a great year for horror in general. There's been a lot of great movies, and this one, just when you get this one after so many bangers, it just pales in comparison. It just shows, you see through the cracks and all the issues that it has. And there was a good movie there, I think, a really good movie there. But what we got was just a serviceable movie. And as much as I jumped and thought the precision jump scares were solid and good atmosphere and the passenger being a scary entity, the movie just lacked characters I gave a shit about and any kind of backstory for anything that really made me compelled to want to see this again. I will also never see this again, nor will I buy the movie. But like you said, Jeremy, if there were a couple of teens that were like, hey, I already saw Obsession, should I go see this? I'd go, hey, give it a shot. But if they said, is there a horror movie at the theater? I haven't seen anything in a while. What should I go see? You know the answer I'm going to give them. I'm not going to mention the movie again because at this point, ad nauseum, whatever. But
have you guys ever seen a movie called The Thing?
Dude, never even heard of it, dude. Who directed that? Was it Wes Carpenter?
Like the one from 2013? The one.
What was it? What was the name? What was the name they used in Scream? It was they merged. Was it Wes Carpenter?
Yeah,
was
that's
that
what I just said. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Got to throw in some Scream in there a little bit, but
gotta love it.
I know what I'm going to do on this Memorial Day because Marco Beltrami's Scream 7 score got released, and I've been listening to it fucking constantly. I'm going to listen to that shit. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of this Memorial Day, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for listening to our Fresh Fright review of Passenger. Let us know what you thought of the movie if you watched it in the comment section wherever you're seeing this posted. If this is your first time listening to Epic Film Guys, thanks so much for checking us out. If you're a long-time listener, 12 motherfucking years. This thing's been in existence.
You're strong.
12 years strong. Thanks for sticking with us. We love you so much. We're available on every single podcast platform known to man and at Epic Film Guys all over social media. Come show us some love. But until next time, I am Justin.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm B Ratty.
And as we always like to tell your ass, make sure to keep that shit.
Keep it creepy.